Thank you very much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to talk to us today. Please tell me what's important about this power plant here.
First of all, because it's a nuclear power plant. Second of all, there are 4 nuclear power plants operating in our country today. And we, the Rivne plant, generate 12% of the total electricity generated in the country.
This is the second largest complex in all of Ukraine. It's our active complex in all of Ukraine.
If we talk about the number of operating power units, then it's true. We have 4 power generation units.
Tell us more about the nature of the nuclear plant here, please.
The first unit of the Rivne NPP was commissioned in 1980. The Rivne NPP has the oldest power unit in our country. In 2004, we connected the 4th unit to the grid. This power unit at Rivne NPP is the newest in the country. Speaking about our country, we have both the oldest and the newest power units at our site. Our power plant uses different types of reactors, VVER 440 and VVER 1000.
The whole world is watching what's happening in Ukraine right now. I wonder what your first reaction was when you heard about the Zaporizhzhia plant being both attacked and now taken by Russian forces.
First of all, an attack on nuclear power units poses a very great danger in any country, including our country. We consider this to be nuclear terrorism. There is no other word for it. An attack on a nuclear facility using heavy equipment is extremely dangerous. I have no words for how to call it. That's why we're watching it with a concern, as much as we can do it. And we're worried about what is happening now at Zaporizhzhia NPP and what was happening there a few days ago.
What was your first emotion when you heard about this? Was it fear? Was it anger? What was your first emotion when you...
No, there was no fear. Many days of war had already passed. We're beginning to get used to war. We're getting ready. We're setting ourselves up. But the anger was very strong. And of course, we were worried about the people who were there and that there would not be a nuclear incident.
Before the war, how often would you talk to your colleagues in Zaporizhzhia?
Yes, we met. A week before the war, I was at Zaporizhzhia plant. We had a meeting there. The meeting was on the 21st or 20th. I came there. We performed plant tours and meetings. It was a technical meeting with a company management. And every morning, we have a video meeting, a conference call. All the stations get in touch. We see each other, communicate, and report on the state of things at each station.
Are you still in communication with the people at Zaporizhzhia?
No, I personally do not. Some of my colleagues have very good friends at Zaporizhzhia station. They sometimes call each other, but the connection is not very good. Therefore, we do not have completely truthful information about what is happening today at Zaporizhzhia plant.
In your opinion, as an expert, do you think that Zaporizhzhia is safe right now?
I cannot be certain about it, because the shift personnel currently works 12 hours per shift, while the normal shift is 8 hours. This is a very huge pressure. Second, you must understand psychologically it is very difficult to work under the eye of the guards, or might I say, under the muzzle of a machine gun.
Have you heard of any incidents of technicians being abused by Russian forces?
First of all, everyone has seen the television footage that we have, and which is in the public domain. There was shooting with different kinds of weapons, and there were people killed. I don't know who was killed, which category of personnel, it is possible that security guards were killed. We don't fully understand the situation and have no information. There are a lot of rumors. I don't have 100% confirmation of the violence used against people.
What was interesting about that is that there was a live video feed that was broadcast to the world. Is there a similar live feed here?
Yes, we have video capabilities, but we don't broadcast this CCTV video to the public. We have a physical security system and we certainly have a lot of CCTV systems. However, this video is not intended for the public.
As you can imagine, everyone in the world is very concerned about nuclear safety in the midst of war. What can you do to assure the world that this nuclear site is safe?
Look, it's a complicated question. I don't think I can give a complete answer. Let me explain why. If we live in a time of peace, I can guarantee everyone the safety of our operations. We have regulations, we have everything we need, we have very good personnel, and we don't have any security issues. If it is about military action, I don't know what kind of weapons will be used against us tomorrow, because any military operations in the vicinity of a nuclear power plant are extremely dangerous.
What steps are you taking right now to increase safety given the current environment?
First of all, we are implementing quite extensive measures in terms of physical security and protection of our plant. I cannot tell you exactly what measures we're taking. However, believe me, these are quite serious and thorough measures. And we're doing everything we can to keep the enemy out of the plant.
And the precautions when it comes to technicians and manpower, they remain the same?
Of course, we do briefings. It's very important to keep people's spirits up. We have a difficult situation and we can't allow any panic. So we work very hard at this direction. That's the first thing. Second, we have implemented all necessary emergency procedures. We have conducted required briefings. We are prepared for any possible technical scenarios at our plant. We are also prepared for an active phase or incidents near our station, to switch to new modes that are governed by our procedures. And we will activate additional protective capabilities.
How's morale among your staff at the plant?
Everything is absolutely normal right now. Everyone is very anxious. However, everyone is concentrated. No one has any fears or doubts about the victory of our country in this war. We are confident in that. A large number of our colleagues have enlisted as volunteers, joined the army, and are being drafted every day. Moreover, today the number of volunteers is much greater than the number of those who are drafted. The mindset is very positive. Most of our colleagues, when they're not working, who have a day off or are in town after work, help out around the city, collect clothes, and make food, doing whatever we need for our city and for our army, all rallying together in a big way.
There's a labor shortage all across Ukraine. Is there a labor because of people enlisting and or being called up? Is there a labor shortage at the plant?
No, we don't have that problem. We don't have such a problem. Although we have people who joined the army, both as volunteers and mobilized, we don't have any issues at this time. Several people quit and went over to foreign countries. But it is not critical, and such cases are few, really few. Almost everyone is in the city, and even families are not being moved out of the city much. My whole family is here. One son came from Kiev, the other was already here. My wife is also here. We're not going anywhere. We work here and we will work here until the end. Many of my colleagues, those who work in the control rooms, also want to join the army to defend our country. But we ask them and explain to them that they are essential here today because it's critical to run the plant. There is a very large number of people who want to volunteer for the army.
The world has really looked with deep concern as Russia took the Zaporizhia plant and as well the decommissioned plant at Chernobyl. It seems like they're targeting nuclear plants. Do you think they're targeting nuclear plants?
It's very hard to understand what this war is about. I still don't understand what it's for. What are they doing it for? Perhaps there are several reasons. First, Zaporizhia nuclear power plant is in the east, and we understand that it could have been one nuclear power plant. Second, I think that yes, this is done on purpose. There is a possibility of blackmail on the plant. Second, I think that yes, this is done on purpose. There is a possibility of blackmail on their part. And when they are near such a facility, I think they feel safer. Because then our armed forces can't use some weapons against them.
There was that building that was hit in the Zaporizhia power plant, and there was a fire. Was that something of deep concern to you, or was that maybe people were too concerned about it? It wasn't part of the nuclear facility, it was just a building adjacent on the site.
According to my information, there were several fires. The main fire occurred in the training center located near the entry control point, very close by. As far as I know, there are no nuclear materials there. It's a training center. The fire occurred on the upper floors, on the third or fourth floor. The potential danger from a fire in this building was that it was quite close to process facilities of Zaporizhia NPP. This raised questions, although there are no nuclear materials there. According to the information, and maybe I don't have complete data, that they used heavy weapons at the checkpoint and towards the first unit. That is, in fact, very, very dangerous.
If the Russians did try to push towards here in the Rivne plant, do you think it's safer for the world to put up a fight or to allow them to take it?
Look, we don't generally consider the issue of them coming closer to us. The issue of surrender, the issue of us giving something up, is not being considered at all. We're definitely going to fight back. The main objective is not to allow them to get any closer. We have no doubts. We're set and we're ready for different scenarios. However, the scenario of giving them control over our station is completely out of the question. I just heard from you that there could be such a scenario.
Well, of course, we're very close with the border with Belarus, and there's been talk that there are troops on that side of the border and that they might join the Russian invasion. Are you confident that this area has all the defense assets that it needs to protect this plant? You said something that was deeply concerning to me. You said we can guarantee safety in peacetime, but we can't guarantee the safety in wartime.
Let me explain in more detail why I said that. If serious weapons were to be used against us, it seems to me that no one today would be able to provide full safety. However, we are prepared for that as well. In other words, in terms of safety and what depends on you, you can provide, but you're not sure in terms of what the Russians can do.
So you're trying to tell me that it'll be safe if it's up to you, but it's up to the Russians if they want to create a disaster.
It seems to me that the whole world is unsafe, unsure after Russia's statements. Everybody is concerned.
What would your message be to the Russian military if you could send them a message?
To Russian army? There is a popular quote in Ukraine now about the Russian warship and where it should go. Now, let that ship go where it should go. They have no reason to be here. I have nothing more to add. But generally speaking, I recently recorded an address to my Russian colleagues. I would like to address them once again and say that they should not sit back and watch things happening in our country. A country where there is a real war, where children are dying, where our absolutely peaceful cities are being destroyed today. We don't have any Nazis or anything like that. After all, they were all coming to our country. They were all here. Russians, our colleagues and directors. So many times they have been to our station. What kind of Nazis are we? This is nonsense. The longer they stay silent, and they know what nuclear power is. Today, we're operating Russian nuclear power plant projects. They must not keep silent. That is who I would like to address. And as for the army, I'm sure most of them will stay here or go home if they're picked up, but in a different state.
Do you have a lot of friends who work in the Russian nuclear sector?
We all know each other very well. I know practically all directors of Russian nuclear power plants. Most of them, and I want to emphasize this, started their careers in our country, and today they are the heads of Rosatom and many nuclear power plants in Russia. These are people who have worked at different plants, including our plant, Khmelnytsky plant, Zaporizhzhia plant. There are a lot of these people there.
It sounds like you feel betrayed by your friends.
You know, it's hard to say. When I was young, I told myself to forget the word offended. Today, in my age, and considering how long I've been working in the nuclear power industry, I'm not really offended by anyone. One thing I do know is that when a person doesn't understand that it's wrong, but they understand that it is wrong, they understand it very well. And when a person, an adult, understands that it shouldn't be like that and stays silent, then I don't know who they betrayed, me or themselves. I also don't know how they're going to live with that.
Have you spoken to your friends in Russia? Since the invasion, no word?
I only made an open address to them. We prepared a video address and letters. I addressed them publicly. That's the first thing. Second, I addressed my colleagues in Europe. We have many colleagues in Europe. Our type of reactors are in operation in European countries in large numbers. There are many such units with a request that they break off relations with Russian projects and Russian specialists as much as possible.
Is the reason you're not talking to your Russian friends because you've chosen not to talk to them, or because there are technical difficulties preventing you from doing so?
First of all, I don't think they would have picked up the phone if I had called, because as far as I know, they have quite strong control, and generally all information channels are closed. That's one thing. Second, I think we have several tasks for us, especially for facilities like ours, the nuclear power industry. The first task, of course, is to protect our country, and we will do that. This is a question that cannot even be discussed. Second, we have to do everything we can to operate our power units safely, and that's important for all countries around the world today. And the third thing is that we have to publicly bring to the attention of all people, especially to Russians, the information about what is going on here and what we are actually like. It's much more important than I just call one of my colleagues. They all need to know about it.
You've been very generous with your time. I only have 3 more short questions, if that's okay with you. I asked you what you would say to Russia and the Russian military, but what would you say to Vladimir Putin personally?
Today, our country, and in general this war, has reached a stage where I no longer want to say anything to him. I think that our people and our army have already told him everything. And from now on, this conversation will only go one way. So I don't have the slightest desire to say anything to him.
We're very close to the Belarusian border, like we said. Are there a lot of families that have deep Ukrainian ties in Belarus and a lot of Belarusian ties in Ukraine?
According to my information, not so much. Perhaps closer to the border, there are villages and towns that have a closer communication with each other. In our town, there are few such people. They are there, but there are few.
Do you have feelings? What are your feelings towards Belarus right now?
How can I personally feel about Belarus when today Russia's regular troops, missiles, and artillery are coming to us from their country? What attitude can I have toward these people, toward this country as a whole? We're talking about a war crime against our country. We know a lot of Belarusians don't want this war. They oppose the war. They have questions for their army. That's as far as we know. And that's the right thing to do. The people have their own position. And even if today Belarus does not use its armed forces against us, but allows the Russian army to come in from their territory and shell our cities, this is a crime. It's just a crime.
I know you have many, many responsibilities and you must be very, very busy. How are you doing personally?
The first probably 6 or 7 days were very difficult because we almost never left work. There was a lot of work to do. We had to review everything we could review and do things that maybe no one had taught us to do. It was very difficult. We rotate people who stay on call. We have people in charge of the situation. Certainly, we spend a lot of time on things we might not spend time on during time of peace. But it's gradually getting better. It's getting normal. Me and others spend a lot of time talking to people, supporting people, because it's not every day that Ukraine is at war. A lot of people can't get used to it. I think it's impossible to get used to it.
How are you and your family doing emotionally?
We try to support each other. Like I said, my whole family is here. No one has gone abroad or anywhere else. They're all here in town. My son helps out in the medical field. He has medical skills. My wife is at home all the time or helps out in town during different things. It is a tough one. We follow the news and we worry about our country. But we are sure that we will be fine. We will rebuild this country. There cannot be any questions about it.
26. What's your message to your son?
Only to protect the country. Otherwise, there is no point in living. He knows that. Understands that running, hiding makes no sense today. First of all, I don't want to go back to the old world that I was already in. I don't want that. I want to live freely. I want my children and grandchildren to be free, to move around Europe, to be able to go see countries, to learn languages, to study, to have freedom of speech, to speak freely about simple things. And if that doesn't happen, I don't think there is any point. I lived in the Soviet Union. I know what it's like. My parents were exiled to Siberia after the war. I know what censorship is. I wouldn't want to go back to those times. And for the sake of the memory of my parents, I don't want to let our country disappear.
Do you have a message for Americans?
I have a lot of friends in America. We cooperate. I have colleagues who have moved to America and who work there. We keep in touch. First of all, I want to thank the American people for everything that has been done today. And there has been done a great deal, and we understand that. And I also understand very well, I believe that we have to defend our freedom ourselves. The burden is on our shoulders. We understand this very well. But we have no easy enemy. It is an enemy with nuclear capabilities. I'm sure the time will come and the American people will make slightly different decisions that have not yet been made.
You said you wanted Russian scientists and technicians to speak out more loudly about, are American scientists being loud enough about the problem?
My colleagues from different companies that we cooperate with, that supply us with equipment, they speak up. They call, they write, they're not afraid to express their position. A lot of European colleagues write letters. I ask them for help in terms of volunteer support, the possibility of medical supplies, and so on. A lot of colleagues have responded. We get help from them. They also encourage us with words. There is a sort of camaraderie here.
So you're happy with their level of support right now?
Yes, I am.
Last question is, was there anything that maybe I didn't ask you that you want to make sure to hit the point and tell me to be thinking about as we're writing about this nuclear plant?
I don't know what more could be added. I would like to emphasize again to tell those people who, thanks to your interview, will hear us. We have a very strong team here. They are very determined to win. We will do everything we can to ensure the safety of our station, the operation of our station, and everything to win this war as soon as possible. And if I may, I had this thought just now. I have never been a politician. I think nuclear power is not about politics. We are engineers. We are physicists. I've been working at this plant my entire life. It's been 30 years, 10 of which as a plant vice president. We have always wanted to be as far away from political events as possible. But today, in the state we are, when our families are exposed to war crimes, we have rallied together. And united we stand together until the end.
Dr. Yu, thank you very much for your time. I know you're very busy.